This tutorial is for the Underland deck. My name is Larissa and I am the president of the Three Little Sisters, and I developed the Underland deck to work with your Shadow Oracle. In this video you're going to see the cards lay out in order of the guidebook. So the first card that you'll see is Despair. The second is Imposter Syndrome. The third, Transformation, followed by Trauma, Dysphoria, Nightmare card, Instability, Intrusive Thoughts, Frenzy, Safety, Empathy, Recovery, Denial, PTSD, OCD, Clarity, Conscious and Subconscious, Self-Harm, Anger, and Remission. I designed this card deck to reflect on people's Shadow Oracle, and the idea of this deck is to reach in and figure out what is affecting someone's work at gaining clarity, peace, and recovery. The cards within this deck have varying meanings depending on the question being asked of you, but let's start with the first card of Despair. Despair often means a state in which we are achieving the lowest point in our life, perhaps unable to even see a way out. This card to me signifies that the person needs to ask for help, and that is what they're doing by coming to you for a reading. Next is Imposter Syndrome, the fear that you are not enough, do not have worth, but these thoughts are merely illusions because, of course, we all have worth. Finding that worth and feeling it are two different things. Transformation is the act of change. However, some change is not always easy for others around us to watch, or sometimes easy to put up with. Transformation can cause people to become extremely angry with us, and we can even be angry with ourselves as we lose aspects of ourselves that perhaps we liked, even if those aspects were negative. Trauma can be many different things: physical, mental, or emotional trauma. This in a Shadow Oracle reading would mean that there's something that the person needs to address.
Our modern Rider-Waite Tarot deck is based on the original classic but with updated modern designs. What makes this deck so unique is its color-coded backs are assigned to each section of the tarot. From pentacles to cups, swords to wands, each section of the tarot is uniquely colored so that readers can identify which sections of the deck they are dealing with. This deck comes with a digital guidebook and custom thoughts for $45 from our shop at shop.the3littlesisters.com. Live with intention.
Dysphoria means that the person is in a profound state of unease or dissatisfaction, and perhaps by seeing this card, they may begin to understand what that thing is that they are feeling uneasy or dissatisfied from. Sometimes finding the why is harder than the reasoning of the state itself. The Nightmare card indicates that you are in an unbreakable loop, which you need to break from. Sometimes we need to vanquish that darkness by finding our Vorpal sword, just like Alice, and defeating the Jabberwocky once and for all. Instability means that you are unable to find your footing. Much like the March Hare, you are unable to ground yourself in reality. All things around you are a blur, and you need to find your center so that you can move on. In a Shadow Oracle work, it can mean that things are just not at the right time to be beginning shadow work, or that your shadow work is causing temporary instability as you are dealing with things. Intrusive thoughts are often very difficult to deal with. However, we have to remind the person that these things are not true. Self-judgment can be extremely hard to deal with, and we have to remind ourselves that these thoughts are not real and that we can deal with them. Frenzy is the state in which you are overwhelmed by all your emotions, and in shadow work, this might indicate that perhaps you're going a little too fast, need to slow down, put on the brakes, back it up, and find a different path. Safety represents that we are healing from a state of trauma, or at least achieving some sense of safety, and this is a great card to perhaps pull additional cards for clarity on what they might need to do to achieve permanent safety. Empathy is something that is very hard for many of us to do for ourselves and others, but sometimes we need to have extreme empathy and compassion for ourselves as we face points of darkness in shadow work. Recovery is a great thing. However, in shadow work, it may mean that it comes in very small steps or stages, and sometimes it might be something that we have to achieve again and again. There is no permanent state of recovery. The denial card represents that the person is unable to see what the truth is or in denial about facing their problems head on, and it's time to maybe put our foot down, show them a mirror, and reflect what they need to face. PTSD is sometimes rooted in very deep traumas or constant harm. This card signifies in the reading that the person needs advanced help. Perhaps at this time, it might be prudent to tell the person that they may need to go see some counseling or therapy, as that is not the purpose of going for tarot or oracle readings. Readers are not therapists or psychiatrists. We're just people trying to help others through spiritual means. Obsessive compulsive disorder means that you're trying to find some aspect of control in your life, but maybe unable to do so. In shadow work, this means that you need to pinpoint some of the issues that you have to deal with and start one at a time, step by step, instead of trying to deal with it all at once. Clarity means that you are attempting to get or seeking out deeper clarity within your work. At this time in a reading, I would absolutely pull out more cards to find out what specifically they need clarity on, because sometimes this is very hidden. The conscious and subconscious are sometimes in conflict with one another, and in this particular reading, it might mean that they have to take some time to root out what is in the subconscious mind. Anger is a normal feeling. However, if that stays around for too long, it can cause physical manifestations, often causing also mental harm, emotional harm, and other harm to ourselves or others. And it's a good time to maybe back off and figure out what is causing us to become so angry and find something that we can laugh at or an outlet that we can put that anger out in a much more positive way. And the last card is remission. This card signifies that we have achieved a temporary state of healing, and from this healing, perhaps we can take a little bit of break before we have to go on to much more shadow work.
The Three Little Sisters Apothecary School provides tutorials, resources, guidebooks, and more. If you're looking to work with any of our tarot, oracle, or rune decks, the school provides all the tools you will need to use them in any reading. All tutorials are included for free and are available on our website. Just head over to shop.the3littlesisters.com and find one of our tutorials today. The Three Little Sisters, live with intention.